Yo, welcome back to the channel. This is Squishy with Squishy Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Falcon and the Winter Soldier. A lot of you guys have requested my thoughts and opinions on this particular series, so we will be covering the entire series for you guys today, as well as our thoughts on the finale. If you haven't seen Falcon or the Winter Soldier, right now is your spoiler warning, so hit pause, go watch the rest of the season, come on back, and we'll be able to go through this together. So without any further ado, we're gonna get right into it. In this series, from episode 1, the tone gets set almost immediately as we get a still moment with Sam looking back at the shield. He's displaying a lot of emotion, actually showcasing what he's feeling from the loss of Steve, the pressure of becoming the next Captain America. And as he puts the shield in the bag to get ready to turn it into the government, you can actually see kind of resentment towards Steve, that he shouldn't have to be dealing with this in his mind, from basically my take on what he was feeling at that moment. So what he does is he turns the shield in because it's a lot of pressure for anybody to follow in Steve's footprints. He even meets with Rhodey, and Rhodey's like, yo, why didn't you become Captain America? And he basically wanted to give it to the government so that he could honor Steve's legacy by letting his legacy end with him. He feels like there can never be another Steve Rogers, so how could there be another Captain America without Steve? After that was said and done, we get to see Sam as he goes home to visit his family, and his sister tells him they're still struggling. So unlike Iron Man, Sam doesn't have that much money, so him and his sister go out and get a loan and get denied. But as they get done getting denied, they come back and find out that the government has appointed a new Captain America by the name of John Walker. In this moment, Sam feels betrayed again by the government because he was told that it was going to stay in the museum and they was going to honor his wishes for that. But as with most of the stuff that goes on with the MCU's government, they basically do whatever they want once they have what they need. So in this particular situation, the government appoints John Walker, who was a war vet with 2 medals of honor, to try to fill in the shoes that Sam kind of didn't want to do at the moment. But they never went back to Sam to say, hey, we still want to have a Captain America. Would you like to be our Captain America? Meanwhile, we have Bucky, who's going through therapy to try to deal with the fact that he used to kill almost everybody he's ever met. And he's dealing with a form of PTSD to try to come to terms with that. So in this particular series, starting off, what they have him doing is he's trying to make amends by marking names off his book of people who he felt he might have wronged in the past. And also he's catching a lot of the people that he used to enable. So it's kind of like how if you was an alcoholic or suffered from substance abuse and you was going back to try to make amends to people you might have done wrong while you was under the influence. That's kind of what he's trying to do in this particular point in the series. Catching the enablers isn't really a problem for Bucky. The issue with his particular therapy is he's not giving closure to the victims of those who he's really killed. So in one particular individual, which is an older Asian guy that he's met, befriended to try to come to terms with how he can mark him off the list, the older guy struggles with not knowing what happened to his son. His son was killed by Bucky years ago. So as the series progressed, we begin to see Bucky try to struggle with how he's going to give this man closure so that he can mark him out of his book. The main conflict throughout the story was dealing with the Flag Smashers. They were the villains of the story, but they were more like refugees who were trying to be forced back into their own countries. After Thanos snapped everything out of existence, refugees in the borders around the planet were gone, so they were allowed to come to different countries and work and actually help grow as a planet versus as separate countries. When everybody came back, the government got put into a difficult situation where they were trying to put everybody back to where they belong so that they can reestablish the borders and get things back to normal. But that would be forcing refugees out of their homes. And for the past 5 years, they've been living in harmony, and now all of a sudden they gotta uproot everything because everybody's back and they want to go back to normal. So the situation is very difficult. The Flag Smashers are a bit extreme, following Carly to try to resolve the issue, but even Sam related to the issue when he spoke with Carly and almost de-escalated the situation until John Walker wound up showing up and trying to overdo it because his pride's been wounded from losing against super soldiers. Zemos was broken out of jail due to his run-in with Bucky to try to help solve this incident. But even through it all, once he escalated the situation, the Flag Smashers managed to get away again, but not before Zemo managed to destroy most of the vials of the serum. Afterwards, John Walker comes in, knocks Zemo out, and takes the last remaining vial for himself and sticks it in his pocket. At this point, the Wakandans arrive on the scene and we get a very powerful moment between Bucky and Io.
Добре си вдячни. Возвращение народилось. Один. Грузовой вагон.
After being the ones that managed to free Bucky, the Dora Milaje was actually here first to find out why Bucky did what he did, but they also understood and gave Bucky 8 hours to do what he needed to do with Zemo, but they were coming to collect. Once they came in to collect, John Walker got between them and Zemo and then put his hands on Io, which led them to attack. During the midst of the fight, Zemo managed to escape, which meant that they still had to find a way to track him down at some point. So they continued to fight. John Walker beat him badly, which wounded his pride and made him even more obsessed with trying to become a super soldier. He reached out to his moral compass, his best friend Lamar, aka Battlestar, and Battlestar basically told him, hey, if you're a good man, the serum should be fine with you. However, shortly after, Carly murdered Battlestar, which was basically his moral compass, and he went completely unhinged, murdered not even Carly, but the random flag smasher in the middle of the road in broad daylight, which led to a fight between Falcon, Bucky, and John Walker, which left John Walker with a broken arm and the shield back in the hands of Sam so that he could potentially take up the mantle of Captain America.
Wait, yo, you forgot the wings.
After the fight with John Walker, Sam gave up his wings and actually took the shield to meet with Isaiah Bradley, who was the first black super soldier who basically did the same thing that Steve did in Captain America, the first Avenger, where he went to go free his comrades only to get sentenced to prison for 30 years. So he was basically influencing Sam that, yo, he shouldn't take the mantle of Captain America because of how they treat African Americans. Meanwhile, Bucky is actually fulfilling his promise to the Dora Milaje and assisting them with capturing Zemo, and also proving to Zemo that he's not a killing machine. Zemo respects Bucky to the point where he tells him he can remove his name out of the book. They have no more issues, and he actually addressed Bucky for the first time, not as the Winter Soldier, but as James, which shows that Zemo actually has respect for Bucky and knows that he's changed.
That's the Black Falcon there, I tell you. Nah, that's Captain America.
In episode 6, we finally have a new Captain America. Sam is taking on the mantle. He's saving hostages. He's trying to redeem Carly. He's basically doing a lot right now. But what stood out to me most about this episode was the fact that he took it upon himself to do right by Isaiah Bradley, who the government tried to erase years ago. So he finally got him a section inside of the museum where his story will always be remembered. And it was a very powerful moment that basically showed that Sam, even outside of his costume, still had the same kind of morals that Steve did when he was Captain America. As far as in the air, Sam still was able to do a lot more. He's able to fight almost perfectly every time he has a suit on, but he still kind of struggles when he's up close. Luckily, John Walker and Bucky and even Sharon Carter was there to give him some assistance down on that aspect of everything. But he even came, once he got everything resolved, people was looking with their cameras. He spoke, had a big powerful message to the senators, and basically was shown to the world that he still has that morals of being Captain America. What bothered me a bit was how they needed probably a little bit more time to flesh out how John Walker went from killing people to becoming the U.S. agent, saving hostages, and basically redeeming themselves. So I think if they had one more episode, it kind of would have made everything flow a little bit easier. Because now we know that we have a U.S. agent, but he's working for Madam Hydra, so we don't know if he's evil or where they're going to go with that. However, even the fight scenes with Carly and basically the rest of the story, where we find out that Carly discovers Sharon is the power broker, Sharon kills Carly to keep her secret, and basically Sam ultimately fails at saving Carly, but for reasons beyond his control, Sharon gets her position back in the government. So at this point, she's actually positioned herself where she's going to become the next major villain in either Captain America or just in any kind of form of like Marvel movie, maybe the next Avengers or something. She's going to take play a bigger role as a villain, but they feel like they just forced her role in there when in the end Zemo was the one who really was the smart villain winner. He actually was the hero of the series. He killed the final super soldiers, and basically everything he set out to do when he came out of prison, he did, and now he's back in the raft just relaxing. If they do decide to do a Thunderbolts movie, I would be all for it. He's in the raft. Thunderbolt Ross has already been shown in the MCU, so it's the seeds are there. Overall, the movie was done. The show was done very well. Bucky got his redemption finally by listening to Sam's tough love and actually reaching out to his friend from earlier on and actually telling him that he actually did kill his son and letting him know that it was beyond his control. I wish they would have fleshed that out a little bit more because I wanted to see how he would have reacted to that news and how did they come to terms with it, similar to how Bucky was with Isaiah Bradley. The time was limited. I feel like if they had one more episode, the whole season would have been perfect, but 4 and 5 were the better episodes, and number 6 is the one where it felt like they tried to cram everything in. Overall, I enjoyed it, and if you guys like more content like this brought to the channel, make sure you guys let me know, and I'll be more than happy to crank out more of these videos for you guys. But without any further ado, this has been Squishy with Squishy Gaming, telling you guys to be safe, be easy, and stay frosty. Stay safe out there.